Only 40% of teenagers understand My Chemical Romance lyrics, and adults call it a phase. Because nothing screams teen angst like adults pretending it's just a temporary glitch in the matrix of growing up.
In the grand tradition of Schrödinger's cat, the passengers are both alive, and not until someone actually counts heads.
Quantum physicists celebrate millisecond coherence in 2D trans non-qubits, claim it's revolutionary. The quantum world, where a millisecond is an eternity, and yet your coffee still gets cold before they finish explaining it.
Johnson finally swears in Grijalva after 50 days, redefining swift political action. In political time, 50 days is like a blink, unless you're waiting for someone to actually do their job.
Only 10% of Trump voters will consider the support, and Donald Trump calls it fake news. The church should vote. Trump would be polling lower than a limbo stick at a yoga retreat.
When your neighbor's dog keeps digging under your fence, maybe it's time to build a better wall or learn to share the yard.
Google Maps erases Western Sahara border for Morocco, calls it a localized view. When your map app starts taking sides, you know it's time to question if the algorithm's got a passport or just a penchant for controversy.
Number 10 claims Starmer trusts McSweeney, then condemns cabinet attacks. It's like trusting the fox to guard the henhouse while simultaneously blaming the hens for the missing eggs. Politics, where logic takes a holiday.
Norris wins Brazilian GP to lead Piastri by 24 points, while Piastri penalized for collision. In the race of life, it's not just the speed that counts, but how gracefully you dodge the blame. Piastri's still learning to dance.
Manchester City revives ancient Cuju with Bernardo Silva, calls it tradition, not gimmick. When modern football feels too easy, just kick it back 2,000 years and call it a cultural exchange.
Senate approves temporary budget fix.
Fired LSU coach Brian Kelly rejects $1 million settlement, demands full contract payout with a straight face. Like trying to get a refund on a broken heart by demanding the moon and stars.
Only 20% of Reform UK supporters think climate change is real, and Nigel Farage calls it common sense. It's like betting on a horse with 3 legs because it has a great attitude.
UK unemployment rate.
Ransomware defense market balloons by 40%. Wazoo CEO claims it's all about peace of mind. In a world where data is currency, they're selling you a vault, while hackers are busy picking locks with impunity.
Oh, Three's Touching on My hits 1 billion streams, Spotify algorithm calls it nostalgia. In a world where taste is as fleeting as a Snapchat story, we're still jamming to tunes that remind us of neon leg warmers and questionable hair choices.
In a geopolitical game of Who owns the rock? Japan and South Korea bicker like two kids fighting over a sandbox nobody plays in.
Only 20% of Americans consider themselves quiet, and a new poll calls it progress. In a nation where even silence needs a megaphone, the concept of a quiet American is as mythical as a unicorn in a Wall Street boardroom.
U.S. Commerce Department slaps 92% tariff on Italian pasta, calls it economic patriotism.
Only 30% of family businesses survive to the second generation, and yet dynasties call it tradition. Seems like the real inheritance is a masterclass in turning silver spoons into leaden liabilities, proving the only thing that trickles down is dysfunction.
Only 10% of new albums reach mainstream ears, and indie artists call it exposure. In a world where algorithms decide your fate, dropping an album feels like whispering in a hurricane, hoping the storm hears your truth.
Trump dismisses voter financial anxiety as fake, then blames media for reality. When a billionaire tells you your empty wallet is an illusion, you wonder if he's living in a gold-plated dream or a dystopian nightmare.
Sanders affirms Mamdani as a democratic leader, then praises party unity. When you're the underdog in a party that eats its own, being told you're a leader is like getting a participation trophy in a knife fight.
Explosion rocks Delhi, leaving blood everywhere, then authorities call it an isolated incident. When explosions become background noise and missing brothers are just another Monday, calling it isolated is like labeling a hurricane a light breeze.
Scientists promised longer lifespans, then struggled to extend healthy years. Doubling life expectancy was the easy part. Now science grapples with making sure those extra years aren't just a marathon of medical appointments.
Alan Jones faces 13-9 witnesses trial, drags over 4 months, with a parade of testimonies stretching like a bad soap opera. Let's hope justice doesn't snooze through the commercial breaks.
When the ship's compass is stuck on bias, the captain's departure feels less like choice and more like a lifeboat escape.
When saving the planet costs you more than your in-flight snack, it's clear the only thing flying high is the price.
US healthcare premiums to spike as subsidies expire, leaving 24 million in the lurch. When affordable becomes a punchline, it's like they want you to choose between your wallet and your well-being.
Germany's economy ministry orders CFE to terminate long-term Yamal LNG deal with Russia, citing national interests. When geopolitics play tug-of-war with your energy bills, it's like watching a circus where clowns handle the pyrotechnics.
Only 20% of Johannesburg's city center has running water and power, but the G20 leaders will still gather there. It's like inviting guests to a mansion, but forgetting to mention the roof's been repossessed and the plumbing's a mess.
James Comey and Letitia James,
aimed to disqualify prosecutor Lindsay Halligan, who lacks prosecutorial experience.
David Soleil wins Booker Prize for Flesh, a novel about a Hungarian émigré's turbulent fortune. In a world drowning in noise, Soleil's spare prose cuts through like a scalpel, dissecting the human condition with surgical precision.
As the job market's cliff edge looms, the administration offers a parachute made of tariffs, hoping gravity has taken a holiday.
Nordic countries merge air forces, call it unity in the sky. When the Vikings unite their fleets, even the clouds can't escape their watchful gaze. The gods of thunder must be feeling nervous.
Spotify charges $9.99 monthly, still making indie rock a scavenger hunt. Finding your favorite indie band online is like a treasure hunt where the map is a Jackson Pollock painting. Maybe they should just send carrier pigeons.
Only 35% of REITs show gains, and Wall Street calls it a recovery. Betting on REITs now is like betting on a horse with 3 legs and a dream. But hey, maybe they'll invent an extra leg.
CDC implements 50% budget cut, calls it efficiency. When the health department's new mantra is do more with less, we're just one step away from suggesting essential oils as a vaccine replacement.
Music industry churns out 5 singles in 3 days, calls it innovation. When every artist is a one-hit wonder with a side of algorithmic deja vu, you start to wonder if creativity is just a playlist on shuffle.
Australia's watchdog demands stricter credit regulations, then banks call it collaboration. When the fox guards the henhouse and calls it a partnership, you know the chickens are just a quarterly report away from being nuggets.
Trump slams unpaid air traffic controllers, blames them for not showing up. Only in the land of the free can you be expected to work for nothing and still get a presidential scolding for taking a stand.
Boston Pop's planned star-studded Veterans Day tribute features WW stories and Broadway glitz. Because nothing says thank you for your service quite like a medley of show tunes and historical PowerPoint presentations.
Neutron star's dense wind baffles scientists, contradicts black hole theories. Looks like even the universe is tired of playing by the same old cosmic rules. Time for a rewrite of the space physics textbook, folks.
When the regime plays whack-a-mole with human lives, the underground becomes the only place left to breathe.
House votes to end 43-day shutdown blames gridlock. When a government functions like a broken record, it's no wonder the soundtrack of democracy sounds like a scratched and skipping vinyl.
U.S. intel says Israeli officials discussed human shields denies all wrongdoing. When your moral compass is a weather vane, every direction feels like the high ground, even when you're knee-deep in the mud.
Chuck Schumer angers Democrats with shutdown deal claims victory. When your victory lap is a walk of shame, it's hard to tell if you're leading the race or just lost in the crowd.
Like a weatherman predicting sunshine in a storm, Pep's optimism feels more like a dance with delusion than a strategic forecast.
Kurt Campbell warns China's Indo-Pacific gains are undeniable, as the US clutches its outdated playbook. Like watching a chess match with one side still playing checkers, the US might want to update its strategy before the board flips.
When your political party's motto is unity, but it feels more like a family reunion where everyone's armed with pitchforks and torches.
Indian authorities probe Red Fort explosion killing 8, call it an isolated incident. When isolated incident is code for we have no idea what's going on, but let's keep the tourists coming anyway.
Only 20% of songs shared online receive feedback, and StreamX Spotify calls it community building, because nothing screams supportive music scene like shouting into the void and hoping for an echo.
Nature omits crucial data. Because nothing says
Because nothing screams heroic defender of rights, like weaponizing insults and pretending they're insights.
Municipal bond trading hits record pace thanks to supply surge. Apparently, when governments flood the market and tariffs tango with interest rates, it's like watching Wall Street on a caffeine bender.
Eight Democrats vote with Republicans to end shutdown, ignoring party lines. When bipartisanship means keeping the lights on, it's like watching frenemies unite for a sleepover, awkward but necessary with snacks at stake.
U.S. Senate passes shutdown-ending bill, sends it to House for approval.
Von der Leyen dodges Starmer's meeting request on EU money demands, schedules a yoga retreat instead. Diplomacy by avoidance. Nothing says we care like a downward dog while the EU cash register rings unanswered.
Gawk releases more Epstein emails exposing Trump's dirt, claims it's all part of a cleaning service.
Trump backer wanted for racist attack in London, claims it was a cultural misunderstanding. When anti-woke PR means publicly racist, the new frontier of international diplomacy.
Wikipedia editors face right-wing pressure to rewrite history, call it balancing the narrative. When facts are seen as partisan, truth becomes the first casualty in the war for control.
France plans to ban Shine after discovering childlike sex dolls, yet Shine calls it a misunderstanding. When profits come wrapped in scandal, the real cost is the dignity sold off at a discount.
When diplomacy dances with dictators, the backroom deals are often as transparent as a brick wall.
U.S. Senate reaches deal to end record shutdown, calls it bipartisan triumph. When politicians
Russian strikes disrupt logistics on Oskil River, then call it strategic brilliance. When your strategy is to make life harder for everyone, it's not tactics. It's just plain belligerence for the side of chaos.
Carly Fiorina refuses to speak truth, calls it resisting left-wing bullying.
Keir Starmer regrets appointing donor as watchdog, blames procedural oversight. When political appointments start resembling a game of Monopoly, don't be surprised if everyone's trying to buy Boardwalk.
Elon Musk launches Grokipedia with over 800,000 articles. Claims it will purge propaganda. When you let a billionaire reinvent truth, expect reality to come with a paywall and a Tesla logo.
U.S. government shutdown cuts food aid. McDonald's and Tyson executives start sweating.
Powering the future with yesterday's energy, proving you can teach an oil giant new tricks, but not a greener conscience.
Only 13% of kids remember first gifts, yet parents spend hundreds on essentials. It's the ultimate parental paradox. Showering babies with gadgets they'll forget while trying to raise minimalists in a capitalist wonderland.
Italy investigates claims tourists paid to shoot civilians in Bosnia, calling it a dark tourism twist. When vacation souvenirs go from tacky postcards to war crime allegations, it's clear some tourists should stick to sunbathing and gelato.
Putin reportedly hides in cloned secret offices, claiming its strategic brilliance. When your leadership style involves a game of hide and seek, maybe it's time to rethink your geopolitical ambitions, or at least your office decor.
Vista Energy promises to propel Argentina's shale exports, then bets on less tax and more flexibility.
Quebec Premier pushes $496 billion pension fund to invest locally, hoping to outmaneuver U.S. trade barriers. Because nothing says secure retirement like turning your pension into a roulette wheel for shaky manufacturing bets.
Israeli settlers attack West Bank villages, while President Herzog issues rare condemnation of escalating violence. When even the president's outrage is as rare as a unicorn, you know peace talks are just bedtime stories for grown-ups.
When the islanders have to beg for survival, it's clear the climate crisis is just another chapter in governmental ghost stories.
Progressive rock band New Laconia releases Journey to the Past, promises nostalgia for a future that never was. When bands start time traveling, you know the music industry is truly stuck in a loop of its own greatest hits.
European Space Agency detects star explosion, calls it a cosmic firework,
Who needs July 4th when the universe is out there celebrating with its own light show, minus the barbecue and budget cuts?
Indian authorities thwart 32 planned blasts, label it a near miss. When your local fireworks display is actually a terror plot, it's time to re-evaluate your definition of explosive entertainment.
Rockstar Games fires over 30 employees, claims business as usual. When your boss prefers court dates over coffee dates, it's clear the only role-playing game here is called union avoidance.
Trump admits demolishing the East Wing was unnecessary, calls it a poor, sad sight. If only he could bulldoze his own ego with the same reckless abandon, maybe then he'd see the real sad sight.
French court frees Sarkozy pending appeal, despite corruption conviction. Looks like the justice system's revolving door is as stylish as his suits, tailored to let the powerful slip right through.
Medicare extends telehealth until January 30th, calls it progress. 5% of visits get a digital makeover, while 95% are stuck in the analog age, just like Congress.
Police arrest Akon for driving without insurance. Release him in 6 hours. Apparently, fame is the ultimate get-out-of-jail-free card, unless you're driving a Tesla without the right paperwork.
Well, maybe she's drawing the line between love and playing the role of a human blender. Boundaries are sexy too.
Pirates threaten 40% of global shipping routes, while governments focus on more profitable crises. It's like they're saying, why bother with high seas security when there's an arms deal or two to close?
Kiss guitarist Ace Frehley dies after fall, rock legends mourn. Turns out, the Space Ace wasn't immune to gravity, leaving fans to wonder if Heaven's got a hell of a band now.
Nexperia resumes chip shipments to Europe, but auto suppliers still face shortages. Like a drip in a desert, these chips are a mirage of relief, teasing automakers with hope while the backlog looms large.
In the age of innovation, nothing screams progress like cataloging citizens for potential conflict, because who doesn't love a digital draft?
In the world of music, every beat is a revolution until it's just another echo in the algorithmic abyss.
US ends penny-making run after more than 230 years, then wonders why it took so long. Turns out, spending 4 cents to make a 1-cent coin isn't just bad math, it's the fiscal equivalent of buying a yacht to fish for sardines.
Unholding CEO refuses price hike, as inflation balloons like an overinflated sneaker. In a world where everything costs more, the CEO's strategy is like promising a marathon with no finish line. Sounds great until you start running. Unholding CEO refuses price hike, as inflation balloons like an overinflated sneaker. In a world where everything costs more, the CEO's strategy is like promising a marathon with no finish line. Sounds great until you start running.
Senators subpoenaed in election interference probe can sue under shutdown bill, then claim victimhood. In a twist of political theater, the very people meant to uphold democracy are now suing to avoid accountability, proving irony is alive and well in Washington.
Only 2 people can turn life events into a bizarre competition, and somehow it's happening in your office.
Only 5% of listeners admit liking the Joker's Dead Horse, and the artist calls it a hit. In a genre known for lyrical genius, beating a dead horse sounds like a metaphor for this track's reception. More flogging than fire. Only 5% of listeners admit liking the Joker's Dead Horse, and the artist calls it a hit. In a genre known for lyrical genius, beating a dead horse sounds like a metaphor for this track's reception. More flogging than fire.
Asus ProArt P16 launches at $4,000, solves nothing for your empty wallet. Sure, it's fast and sleek, but if you're not creating a digital Mona Lisa, is it worth selling your kidney for a laptop?
MLS owners vote to change season to summer to spring, ignoring fans' climate concerns. Because nothing says great idea like playing soccer in the blazing summer heat while fans melt in the stands like popsicles on asphalt.
Ireland's media regulator targets social media platform X, then wonders why users feel like they're shouting into the void. In the dystopian wonderland of digital dialogue, X seems to have mastered the art of the disappearing complaint, where grievances vanish like a magician's assistant. Ireland's media regulator targets social media platform X, then wonders why users feel like they're shouting into the void. In the dystopian wonderland of digital dialogue, X seems to have mastered the art of the disappearing complaint, where grievances vanish like a magician's assistant.
Jewel calls anxiety her ally, turning nerves into a relentless teacher. Because when life gives you lemons, you don't just make lemonade, you squeeze them into the eyes of your insecurities and demand they teach you something.
In a classic tale of Ooh Me, the office of Marcos Jr. seems to be auditioning for the role of innocent bystander in a political soap opera. In a classic tale of Ooh Me, the office of Marcos Jr. seems to be auditioning for the role of innocent bystander in a political soap opera.
It's like a digital plague of locusts, but instead of crops, they're devouring developers' sanity and leaving a trail of buggy code in their wake.
GTA 6 delay interrupts Polish parliament, and a politician calls it a disturbing matter. Forget climate change or economic woes. The real crisis is a video game delay. Maybe next they'll debate if Mario should run for office.
Adele debuts in Tom Ford's Cry to Heaven, proving Grammy winners can act too. From belting heartbreak anthems to acting in a fashionista's fever dream, Adele is about to find out if her acting chops can match her vocal cords. Adele debuts in Tom Ford's Cry to Heaven, proving Grammy winners can act too. From belting heartbreak anthems to acting in a fashionista's fever dream, Adele is about to find out if her acting chops can match her vocal cords.
Only 25% of Gen Z enrolls in college, as trade schools become the new Ivy League. When a diploma costs more than a house, it's no wonder welding torches are the new graduation cap.
When your business model is predicting sports outcomes, the real gamble is asking Uncle Sam to officiate your game. Let's see if they score or fumble. When your business model is predicting sports outcomes, the real gamble is asking Uncle Sam to officiate your game. Let's see if they score or fumble.
India's government pushes for regional dominance, but its own democracy is on life support. When the world's largest democracy starts to look like an exclusive club, who's left holding the membership card? Spoiler, not the people.
Wall Street celebrates shutdown end, but workers still unpaid. When billionaires cheer while public servants scramble for rent, you know the system's built on more than just stocks. It's built on broken promises.
EU court rules non-alcoholic drinks cannot be called gin, but sobriety never tasted so confusing. Apparently, you can't call it gin unless it can knock you on your juniper-scented behind. The EU's logic, sober sips need not apply. EU court rules non-alcoholic drinks cannot be called gin, but sobriety never tasted so confusing. Apparently, you can't call it gin unless it can knock you on your juniper-scented behind. The EU's logic, sober sips need not apply.
Steve Cohen shifts to private markets, claims patience is the new speed. When hedge fund titans start preaching patience, it's like a cheetah bragging about its newfound love for slow strolls in the savannah.
JP Morgan predicts $5 trillion for AI infra, says demand is astronomical.
Turkey registered plane crashes in Croatia, reportedly killing pilot, yet gravity remains undefeated. A tragic reminder that no amount of international paperwork can outwit the relentless laws of physics. Fly safe, or don't fly at all. Turkey registered plane crashes in Croatia, reportedly killing pilot, yet gravity remains undefeated. A tragic reminder that no amount of international paperwork can outwit the relentless laws of physics. Fly safe, or don't fly at all.
Democrats struggle to diffuse age debate, ignore elephant in the room. When the party of progress can't outrun Father Time, it's no wonder the future feels like it's on life support.
Spain promises continued economic growth, but inflation eats the gains. When your GDP grows like a weed, but your wallet shrinks like a wool sweater in hot water, it's hard to call it prosperity.
Google sues China-based hackers behind $1 billion phishing platform, hoping the lawsuit scares them more than their own government. When tech giants play legal whack-a-mole with hackers, it's $1 billion game of catch me if you can. Spoiler, the hackers usually can. Google sues China-based hackers behind $1 billion phishing platform, hoping the lawsuit scares them more than their own government. When tech giants play legal whack-a-mole with hackers, it's $1 billion game of catch me if you can. Spoiler, the hackers usually can.
Valve launches new console, but gamers are still waiting for Half-Life 3. It's like releasing a shiny new toy while the kid in all of us still fights for the missing piece of the puzzle.
AI translation tools promise instant understanding, yet rob us of cultural nuance. It's like giving everyone a cheat sheet for the test of humanity, but leaving out the joy of learning the language of the soul.
Chinese chipmakers battle shakes global car industry, and CEOs are now learning the true cost of relying on a single source. When your car blinks check engine, it might just mean check geopolitics. Who knew driving came with a side of international drama? Chinese chipmakers battle shakes global car industry, and CEOs are now learning the true cost of relying on a single source. When your car blinks check engine, it might just mean check geopolitics. Who knew driving came with a side of international drama?
House votes 222 to 209 to end shutdown pending Trump's Wall Street dinner, ending the longest shutdown with a side of steak and stock tips, proving nothing greases the wheels of democracy like a good meal with billionaires.
Disney greenlights second season of Alien Earth, still no air date. In the meantime, fans can enjoy the suspense of waiting indefinitely, because nothing builds anticipation like a question mark where a calendar should be.
Mac Hollins arrives at tonight's game sporting a shirt with 988, the suicide prevention hotline, reminding us there's more to life than touchdowns. While some athletes flaunt bling, Hollins chooses to wear empathy on his sleeve. Compassion is the new MVP, and it never misses a play. Mac Hollins arrives at tonight's game sporting a shirt with 988, the suicide prevention hotline, reminding us there's more to life than touchdowns. While some athletes flaunt bling, Hollins chooses to wear empathy on his sleeve. Compassion is the new MVP, and it never misses a play.
COP21 SCEP's formal treaty, appeasing US and China, the top polluters. It's like inviting the foxes to design the henhouse security, expect lots of feathers and very little change.
Wyoming court upholds closed primaries and sole loser laws, democracy optional. Apparently, in the equality state, equality means making sure only the chosen few get to play in the political sandbox.
Scientists discover horned bee species, name it Lucifer because why not invite apocalyptic vibes into pollination? In a world where bees are vanishing, naming one after the Prince of Darkness might be a sting too far. Just hope they don't start a rebellion with the hornets. Scientists discover horned bee species, name it Lucifer because why not invite apocalyptic vibes into pollination? In a world where bees are vanishing, naming one after the Prince of Darkness might be a sting too far. Just hope they don't start a rebellion with the hornets.
Scientists make pig kidney last 61 days in human. Bacon lovers rejoice. Finally, a way to make organ transplants less like a blind date with destiny and more like a long-term commitment. Thanks to our porcine pals.
Up Pop Indie Rock. Festival tickets hit $100, but you can stream it for free. Pay a Benjamin for the privilege of standing in a field, or stay home and let your Wi-Fi be your backstage pass.
The house always wins, especially when it's betting on robots to do the heavy lifting of capitalism's next big jackpot.
Zelensky visits frontline troops. Russia intensifies assault. In the theater of war, the lead actor knows the importance of a cameo, but the script's still written in blood and iron.
Adalita Grijalva finally sworn in after 7-week delay. Democracy's snail race continues.
Wall Street wobbles. When a nation's economy teeters, Wall Street wobbles. When a nation's economy teeters,
Only 11% of dermatology PA denials reviewed by dermatologists, and insurers call it a streamlined process. In the world of healthcare bureaucracy, who needs expertise when you've got rubber stamps and a magic 8-ball?
Vatican unveils Pope Leo XIV's 1982 portrait, and it's not just the robes that look photoshopped. Vatican unveils Pope Leo XIV's 1982 portrait, and it's not just the robes that look photoshopped.
Ken Starr emailed Jeffrey Epstein for years, calling him Lovia, and preached morality on TV.
Only 25% of Ukraine's army are women, and the Kremlin calls it progress. When the patriarchy sends its regards, it's the sisters who suit up, showing strength isn't measured in testosterone or tyranny.
DOT'd halts flight cuts after chaos, blames passengers for delays. When the wheels of bureaucracy grind slower than a delayed takeoff, passengers learn the real turbulence is in the boardroom, not the sky.
German authorities arrest a man
with neo-Nazi ties for darknet hit contracts, proving that fascism loves a good Wi-Fi connection. When your ideology is stuck in the past, but your crimes are cutting edge, it's time to reconsider your life choices. German authorities arrest man with neo-Nazi ties for darknet hit contracts, proving that fascism loves a good Wi-Fi connection. When your ideology is stuck in the past, but your crimes are cutting edge, it's time to reconsider your life choices.
Only 20% of classical musicians play concert halls, but venues call it a renaissance. When symphonies swap marble for mahogany and chandeliers for pint glasses, culture is getting a reality check, one pub at a time.
Truth, Social's AI tool claims 2020 election was fair and groceries cost more under Trump, which means even algorithms can't ignore inflation or reality. When your own platform's AI starts fact-checking the narrative, it might be time to reevaluate your version of the truth. Truth, Social's AI tool claims 2020 election was fair and groceries cost more under Trump, which means even algorithms can't ignore inflation or reality. When your own platform's AI starts fact-checking the narrative, it might be time to reevaluate your version of the truth.
Only 30% of Mississippi schools teach full civil rights history, and the state calls it comprehensive. When education skips the messy parts, it's like reading a novel with half the pages torn out. Ignorance isn't bliss, it's just bad storytelling.
Only 20% of music montages make sense, and the creator calls it art. When a playlist feels like a toddler's toy box, it's chaos disguised as creativity. Sometimes the only harmony is in the confusion.
Home Secretary plans human rights changes, then claims it's inspired by Denmark. When your migration policy is a cut-and-paste job from Denmark, you might as well admit your innovation is as thin as a paper boat.
Utah judge replaces lawmaker's congressional map, proving once again that gerrymandering is a game of political musical chairs. When even a judge has to step in to draw the map, maybe it's time to admit that democracy isn't a connect-the-dots puzzle. Utah judge replaces lawmaker's congressional map, proving once again that gerrymandering is a game of political musical chairs. When even a judge has to step in to draw the map, maybe it's time to admit that democracy isn't a connect-the-dots puzzle.
Zimbabwean lithium miners demand tax delay, seeking cash until 2026. When your business plan relies on tax breaks, maybe it's time to admit that your strategy is as solid as a lithium battery in a bonfire.
Israel kills Palestinian near Gaza's yellow line, then bombs northern Gaza. When the lines are invisible and the bombs are visible, you know the rules of engagement are written in disappearing ink. Israel kills Palestinian near Gaza's yellow line, then bombs northern Gaza. When the lines are invisible and the bombs are visible, you know the rules of engagement are written in disappearing ink.
Trump Organization seeks record foreign workers in 2025, America First indeed. When the brand is built on nationalism but the workforce is global, hypocrisy becomes a business model.
When hoofed creatures need a prime minister's intervention, perhaps it's time for a new chapter in foreign relations. When hoofed creatures need a prime minister's intervention, perhaps it's time for a new chapter in foreign relations.
When your climate strategy is a choose-your-own-adventure novel, the only villain is accountability.
Kim Kardashian's Skims hits $5 billion, proving stretchy fabric beats stock market. When the empire is built on spandex, even Wall Street bends to the will of the waistline.
China banks conjure phantom loans to meet targets, then wonder why economy is a ghost town. When banks play pretend with cash, it's no surprise the real economy vanishes like a magician's rabbit.
Detaining humans like mismatched socks in a drawer, only to release them in batches. Is this justice or just another clearance sale?
Speaker Johnson dismisses Epstein files vote as moot, then wonders why transparency isn't trending. When the past is buried with a shrug, we're left asking if justice is a relic or just a ghost story they tell to keep us asleep.
Fannie Mae ousts top officials after they warn about sharing confidential data, calls it a security upgrade. When transparency gets you the boot, it's clear that honesty is only policy when it's convenient for the bottom line. Fannie Mae ousts top officials after they warn about sharing confidential data, calls it a security upgrade. When transparency gets you the boot, it's clear that honesty is only policy when it's convenient for the bottom line.
GrainCorp misses full-year earnings estimates, blames challenging market while swimming in a global supply glut. When the market's as full as a politician's promise, even the most seasoned exporters can find themselves stranded on the shores of wishful thinking. GrainCorp misses full-year earnings estimates, blames challenging market while swimming in a global supply glut. When the market's as full as a politician's promise, even the most seasoned exporters can find themselves stranded on the shores of wishful thinking.
Best hiking boots of 2025 launch at eye-watering prices, promise to make you lighter than your wallet. When your shoes cost more than your vacation, the mountain isn't the only peak you're scaling.
Reddit's image links break like promises, leaving viewers waiting for more than a picture. In the digital age, anticipation is just another way to spell disappointment.
Sony's PS5 defeats Xbox after 5 years, but PS6 faces TikTok as its biggest competitor. When your fiercest battle is with a social media app, maybe it's time to rethink the whole next-gen console concept. Sony's PS5 defeats Xbox after 5 years, but PS6 faces TikTok as its biggest competitor. When your fiercest battle is with a social media app, maybe it's time to rethink the whole next-gen console concept.
Trump pardons Rudy Giuliani and co-conspirators, then preaches about democracy. It's like giving a gold star to the class clown for setting the school on fire.
Scattered spider. It's like the Avengers of digital skullduggery.
Because nothing says public service like playing fiscal chess with the economy on the brink of a nervous breakdown.
Trump denies Epstein ties, yet desperation mounts in public spectacle. When your past comes with a billionaire's shadow, even the Secret Service can't keep the skeletons in the closet.
When your emerald caves can compete with Phuket's neon, it's like
EU leaders declare Russia is fighting dirty, yet drone sightings multiply like rabbits. When your defense strategy is as watertight as a sieve, it's no wonder the drones are just dropping by for tea and espionage. EU leaders declare Russia is fighting dirty, yet drone sightings multiply like rabbits. When your defense strategy is as watertight as a sieve, it's no wonder the drones are just dropping by for tea and espionage.
In a land famous for its poetry, the real drama is when the speeches end and everyone waits for someone to say something memorable.
Mississippi student arrested for anti-Semitic slurs at Day of Portnoy claims it was performance art. When hate speech gets rebranded as avant-garde expression, you know we've taken a wrong turn at the intersection of education and common sense. Mississippi student arrested for anti-Semitic slurs at Day of Portnoy claims it was performance art. When hate speech gets rebranded as avant-garde expression, you know we've taken a wrong turn at the intersection of education and common sense.
Diddy's release delayed to June 4th, 2028 after alleged prison rule violation. From pop charts to penitentiary, it turns out the real remix is how long you can keep a beat behind bars.
Tucker Carlson claims demonic attacks suggest supernatural forces target cable news hosts. When your ratings drop, blame the devil. It's easier than admitting people just changed the channel.
Waymo launches freeway robotaxi, rides in 3 cities, and calls it the future of transit. Nothing says progress like trusting your life to a car with no driver while it navigates the existential crisis that is the LA freeway. Waymo launches freeway robotaxi, rides in 3 cities, and calls it the future of transit. Nothing says progress like trusting your life to a car with no driver while it navigates the existential crisis that is the LA freeway.
London raises congestion charge 20% targets electric vehicles too. When your green plan punishes clean cars, maybe it's time to rethink who's really congesting your vision.
Static X resurrects nu metal chaos with Kill Your Idols, shredding old gods with distorted riffs. When the revolution needs a soundtrack, nothing screams louder than a band that knows idols are just rusting chains.
Capitol rioter seeks Nancy Mace's congressional seat, proving the American dream is alive and well for insurrectionists. When storming the Capitol is your resume and running for Congress is your career path, democracy's got a whole new flavor of absurd. Capitol rioter seeks Nancy Mace's congressional seat, proving the American dream is alive and well for insurrectionists. When storming the Capitol is your resume and running for Congress is your career path, democracy's got a whole new flavor of absurd.
MAGA representatives defy Trump to support Epstein files release, then pretend it's about transparency. When the skeletons in the closet start rattling, even the most loyal sycophants know it's time to jump ship and save face.
White House delays October economic data release, claiming it's just a clerical error. When numbers start to lie, it's usually because someone's too busy cooking the books to serve dinner on time.
U.S. government shutdown stalls economic data, gold prices soar like a phoenix in market confusion, while silver tags along for the ride. When data becomes an endangered species, even precious metals get to play the wild card in the Economic Circus Act. U.S. government shutdown stalls economic data, gold prices soar like a phoenix in market confusion, while silver tags along for the ride. When data becomes an endangered species, even precious metals get to play the wild card in the Economic Circus Act.
International Energy Agency predicts oil demand to hit 113 million barrels daily by 2050 despite electric vehicle hype. Looks like the only thing peaking here is our collective denial as we keep guzzling fossil fuels like tomorrow's just another mirage.
When a disgraced comedian turns to penning novels, it's like asking a clown to moonlight as a therapist. When a disgraced comedian turns to penning novels, it's like asking a clown to moonlight as a therapist.
Only 0% of humans speak alien, yet governments fund language apps for tourists. You struggle with basic Earthling dialects? But sure, let's hope Google Translate has an extraterrestrial setting in the works.
Boeing secures 300 jet order, but Airbus clings to hope like a cat to a screen door.
OPEC predicts oversupply. Oil prices dive like a bungee jumper without a cord. In the grand casino of fossil fuels, it's always a gamble whether you'll strike black gold or just black out.
Google dismantles tech scam network, claims victory for everyone, except maybe the scammers who lost their favorite cloud hideout. When tech giants play whack-a-mole with cybercriminals, it's like watching a magician pull a rabbit from a hat. Impressive, but you're left wondering about the next trick. Google dismantles tech scam network, claims victory for everyone, except maybe the scammers who lost their favorite cloud hideout. When tech giants play whack-a-mole with cybercriminals, it's like watching a magician pull a rabbit from a hat. Impressive, but you're left wondering about the next trick.
Eddie Murphy reveals Robin Williams' advice against critical Oscar speech, asking, "Why go there?" Yet Murphy went there anyway. In the Grand Theatre of Hollywood, even legends like Williams know that some stages are better left unburned, unless you're Eddie Murphy with a flamethrower. Eddie Murphy reveals Robin Williams' advice against critical Oscar speech, asking, "Why go there?" Yet Murphy went there anyway. In the Grand Theatre of Hollywood, even legends like Williams know that some stages are better left unburned, unless you're Eddie Murphy with a flamethrower.
Iranian officials in a place where water is worth its weight in oil. The taps are running dry while promises evaporate like mirages.
Russia's AI robot collapses on debut, proving gravity's still undefeated.
JPM private forecasts gold prices reaching $5,000 by 2026, calls it a golden opportunity. When central banks start hoarding gold like it's the last Twinkie at a post-apocalyptic buffet, you know the economy's just peachy. JPM private forecasts gold prices reaching $5,000 by 2026, calls it a golden opportunity. When central banks start hoarding gold like it's the last Twinkie at a post-apocalyptic buffet, you know the economy's just peachy.
When you're smuggling oil like it's a national sport, maybe reconsider the whole state-sanctioned part.
Trump administration sues to block California redistricting, claims it unfairly aids Democrats. In the world of political monopoly, Trump's team is flipping the board because California dared to play by the rules they don't like.
Disney streaming shines bright but revenue must sink stock, proving magic doesn't always pay the bills. When the House of Mouse can't keep investors happy despite subscriber growth, maybe it's time to start selling Mickey ears with a side of aspirin. Disney streaming shines bright but revenue must sink stock, proving magic doesn't always pay the bills. When the House of Mouse can't keep investors happy despite subscriber growth, Maybe it's time to start selling Mickey ears with a side of aspirin.
US soy futures climbed to 17-month high, defying US-China trade tensions. Amid the chaos of trade uncertainty, soybeans are the rebellious rock stars, hitting the charts, proving that even legumes can outwit political theater.
Green slams Trump on H-1B visas and Chinese students, proving even allies can have their own border disputes. When Trump gets flack from his own camp over visas, it's like watching a soap opera where everyone's a villain but nobody's a hero.
South African citizens urge aid for fighters in Ukraine while governments shuffle papers. As bureaucrats play hot potato with responsibility, brave souls on the battlefield are left to MacGyver their way through geopolitics with duct tape and hope.
Divines, Walk Like a Man struts back into the spotlight, while gender norms still trip over their own shoelaces. As the beat marches on, the real dance is dodging the outdated expectations that still try to lead the parade.
When even shutdowns come with conspiracy theories, it's a reminder that in the age of misinformation, facts are the most endangered species.
In this deadly proxy power game, humanitarian aid wears camo, and the UAE's care package comes with a side of strategic leverage.
Saving money by scrapping accountability?
Only 0% of streaming platforms reject your album, and the multiverse of languages calls it a milestone. In the digital cacophony, your melody rises like a phoenix, but let's see if it can sing louder than the algorithm's white noise.
Car explosion kills 8 in India, and officials are investigating. When a car turns into a grenade, the mystery isn't in the explosion, but in the hands that lit the fuse.
When a best-selling author moonlights as a scandal whisperer, it's less about journalism and more about playing puppet master from the shadows.
Supreme Court refuses to overturn same-sex marriage despite pressure from progressive forces. When the highest court in the land stands firm, it's a reminder that love isn't just blind. It's also stubbornly resilient against bigotry.
Dave Mustaine claims Megadeth's farewell tour will last 5 years, redefining farewell. When your goodbye tour
Ukrainian officials estimate demining will take 750 years, and kids' toys are already rigged to explode. When the world becomes a minefield, it's a stark reminder that war doesn't just target the present, it wages a relentless siege on the future.
US stocks dip as tech valuations falter, exposing the labor market's frayed edges. When your economy is on a roller coaster, it's less about the thrill and more about who forgot to tighten the bolts.
Copper steadies post 4-day climb, investors starved for data after historic government shutdown.
When the government clocks out, markets play a guessing game, like betting on a horse with blindfolds on.
Spiders weave decoys 10 times their size, proving even arachnids know the power of an inflated ego. When your survival strategy involves giant fake versions of yourself, you might just be the original influencer of the animal kingdom.
School lets accused bus chaperone work during investigation, prioritising wheels over children's safety. When a school treats a child abuse investigation like a bad Yelp review, you'd think they were running a cover-up, not a cover story.
NATO deletes Facebook post after Greece mislabels military drill, calling it an error. When your international alliance has a social media mishap, it's less strategic defense and more accidental offense.
Argentinian inflation nudges up before midterms. President Milei's party braces for impact. Inflation, the political piñata that keeps swinging, while the people hope for candy but get more air instead.
Trump requests Netanyahu pardon from Israeli president, gets rebuffed for bypassing legal protocol. When your plea for clemency reads like a reality TV script, maybe it's time to reconsider your casting choices.
Pakistan raises military alert post-Delhi blast, issues NOTAM to keep tensions simmering. When your neighbor's fireworks become your air raid sirens, diplomacy takes a backseat to saber-rattling theatrics.
Bosnia and Herzegovina tops Europe with 117% e-commerce growth, but shoppers still can't find a reliable Wi-Fi signal. Apparently, digital shopping is booming where broadband is still a rumor. It's like selling Ferraris to a town with no roads.
Trump could face a congressional vote to release Epstein files, but transparency was never his strong suit. It's like asking a magician to reveal their secrets. Only this time, the doves might actually be skeletons.
Waymo introduces driverless taxis on highways, claims it's the future of hitchhiking with robots. Just when you thought merging was a human-only nightmare, now you can watch AI sweat it out in the fast lane.
Only 10% of pop songs achieve soul, and the Ninas call it a breakthrough. It's like claiming your karaoke version of Respect rivals Aretha, bold, but mostly just wishful thinking.
It's like passing a hot potato laced with conspiracy theories.
No one wants to hold it, but someone has to deal with it.
Trump endorses H-1B visas for talent, enraging MAGA who thought foreign was a dirty word. When your hero flips the script, and suddenly the walls got a door for brainy imports.
Google AI overviews tank click-through rates, Daily Mail cries foul. It's like the algorithmic revolution, where the machines are stealing eyeballs, leaving old media with nothing but their headlines hanging out.
Trump impeachment odds skyrocket after Epstein scandal resurfaces. It's like betting on a horse race, where the jockey keeps tripping over his own scandals, yet somehow still manages to stay in the saddle.
Ricky Bird ditches Marshall amps, claims sobriety makes his Franken Teller sound better than a Telecaster. When rock legends swap whiskey for water, even their guitars start playing a different tune.
Democrats push discharge petition to trigger vote on Obamacare subsidies, betting on procedural Hail Mary. It's like trying to get a stubborn mule to move by showing it a carrot, but it's too busy munching on lobbyist cash to care.
Student Republican calls ICE on car wash, now faces social media firestorm. When you wash away more than dirt, don't be shocked when the backlash leaves you high and dry.
Noam plans $10,000 bonuses for TSA agents, while travelers still face endless lines. It's like giving the bouncers a raise while the club's bathroom is still a disaster zone, glamour on the outside, chaos within.
EU investigates Google for demoting commercial content, claims it's not about news indexing. It's like accusing the chef of undercooking the steak and being told it's all about the side salad, one more case of sleight of hand.
US narco strikes impact Colombian fishermen, who now face empty nets and emptier stomachs. When the war on drugs leaves innocent nets barren, maybe it's time to ask who's really fishing for justice.
Fed plans to meet bank CFOs on Basel rules while banks plot how to dodge them.
Nigerian stocks surge after tax rollbacks spooked investors, proving panic phase. The market's like a toddler, throw a tantrum, and suddenly everyone's bending over backward to calm it down.
Teal MP Sophie Scamps calls net zero back down death knell for Liberal Party as Aurora dances over a solar stormy Australia. When the only thing lighting up the sky is a solar storm, maybe it's time for the Liberal Party to find its own spark.
Adelita Grijalva to be sworn in promises action on Epstein files, but the political swamp remains murky.
US Army advises soldiers to visit German food banks while claiming to be the world's most powerful military. When heroes go hungry, even the might of $1 trillion budget can't stop the spin cycle of national embarrassment.
Car explosion in India kills 8. Then the headlines pivot to a football retirement and Antarctic expedition like it's business as usual. When a car bomb gets buried under sports contracts and polar treks, the world's priorities might need a tune-up.
Oversight Committee releases more Epstein estate documents. Promises transparency while hiding behind redacted lines. When secrets are wrapped in black ink, justice becomes a game of peekaboo with the truth.
Donald Trump faces scrutiny over blowing Baba email, claims it's a misunderstanding about bubblegum. When political scandals start sounding like playground gossip, you know the circus is in town and the elephants are running wild.
Fred Armisen dodges SNL anxiety, then spills the secret like a magician revealing how to pull a rabbit from his hat. In a world where comedians must laugh at their own demons, Armison's trick might just be the ultimate punchline.
Matt Gaetz denies allegations of sex with 17-year-old, labels it a political hit job. When your defense is a conspiracy theory, it might be time to rethink your life choices, or at least your PR team.
If only solving life's puzzles were as simple as shouting vowels at a screen, maybe we'd all have our fortunes.
As tech giants throw money at AI like confetti, Burry's cautionary tale is buried beneath the glittering promises of a trillion-dollar future.
Bay Area High School resumes football after heinous hazing incident, but won't explain their playbook. Apparently, transparency is just another defensive strategy. Keep the public guessing while the game goes on and hope nobody notices the fouls.
Germany's MERS demands young Ukrainian men return home while safe in his own cozy office.
USDA targets climate and diversity grants for cancellation, proving nothing scares them more than progress.
Neutron stars' winds defy physics. Exorism discovers unexpected density. When a space phenomenon makes scientists rethink their textbooks, you know the universe is just showing off like a cosmic prankster rewriting the rules in real time.
Governor grants clemency to Tremini Wood hours before execution. In a justice system that acts like a roulette wheel, last-minute clemency is a reminder that life shouldn't be a game of chance.
National Democrats aim to flip Utah House seat with new maps, betting on geometry over gerrymandering.
In the billionaire space race, Jeff Bezos' ego now has a booster to match his ambitions because nothing says progress like a bigger, reusable phallus.
Italy investigates tourists paying to kill in Bosnia, turning vacation into a horror movie with no director's cut. Who needs a safari when you can hunt humans in war zones? Welcome to the darkest tourism package since the Dark Ages.
Only 10% of chatbot users report delusions, and OpenAI calls it progress. When your virtual shrink starts gaslighting you, it's time to wonder if the future of therapy is just a digital rabbit hole with a padded floor.
Congress enforces strict THC limits, claims it's to protect consumers. When the government treats hemp like it's radioactive, maybe it's time to ask if they're more scared of a plant than corporate monopolies.
Utah judge selects plaintiff's map, blocks legislature's 3rd district as gerrymandering gets a plot twist with a courtroom climax. When democracy's game of musical chairs ends, sometimes you find a judge holding the gavel and the map. Who knew justice could draw so well?
Dietrich Haddon releases plea for divine intervention, streaming numbers skyrocket. When gospel hits the charts, maybe it's not just faith, but a desperate hope that something bigger will actually listen this time.
Researchers deploy micro-robots to deliver drugs, then dissolve them for maximum efficiency. Finally, medicine that goes where it's needed without the side effects, unless, of course, you're a fan of the Guess Which Organ game.
Pakistan Taliban claimed deadly Islamabad attack, turning court rejection into a police-targeted tragedy. When your courtroom drama gets rejected, and you settle for a police cruiser cameo, it's a plot twist only terror could script.
Only 20% of Europe's economy operates in the shadows, and politicians call it progress. When your GDP is a mystery novel, it's no wonder politicians prefer the dark, where accountability has an alibi.
Guardiola claims Tottenham and Man United in title race despite Man City's 2-1 loss to Newcastle. When even the underdogs get a pat on the head from Pep, you know the race is more marathon than sprint.
University of Helsinki milks cows for research, then touts it as sustainable innovation. When your green revolution relies on the same bovine workforce, maybe it's time to rethink who's really pulling the plow.
When your luck runs out, not even a royal flush can save you from a bureaucratic full house.
Few scientists predict Ice Age for Europe. When climate forecasts lean on blockbuster scripts, maybe it's not the planet that needs saving, but our standards for evidence.
Aura predicts $2 billion in sales by 2026, claiming it's all thanks to smart rings and smarter hype. Apparently, the secret to doubling your sales is simple. Just add $1 billion valuation, a sprinkle of AI, and a dash of investor pixie dust.
Trump orders Epstein ties probe ignores on connections. When Fox investigates the hen house, expect feathers to fly, but never the truth.
Bitcoin plunges below $95,000, called a bear market. When your virtual gold turns to pyrite, remember, the only bull in this bear market is the one you bought into.
Billionaire offer secures $190 million refinancing, calls it a win. When the rich refinance, it's just musical chairs with money. The rest of us are left without a seat or a tune.
Bootloader resurfaces with a font trick to cloak malware on WordPress, proving hackers love typography too. Looks like cybercriminals are taking typography lessons now, turning WordPress into a viral font showcase, and malware is the new Helvetica.
Romania's central bank keeps interest rates steady after a year of chaos, and they call it stability.
Only 20% of black homeowners saw wealth grow, and the system calls it progress. Blockbusting, where white penny profits and black dreams drown. By 1990, the American dream was just a mirage in a cul-de-sac.
David Tepper bets on China and a struggling American appliance maker because why settle for one flailing investment? In the world of high-stakes finance, Tepper's strategy seems to be buy low, hope for miracles, a plan as solid as a sandcastle in a storm.
Morgan Stanley declares economic data unreliable, then bets on market relief. Erratic data might be the new normal, but don't worry, Wall Street's crystal ball is still crystal clear when it comes to their bonuses.
Morgan Stanley's Quran urges rate cuts, then blames jittery markets. If the economy's a soft patch, maybe it's time for Wall Street to stop using it as a trampoline.
Apparently, Braun's freedom was as fleeting as a New Year's resolution, proving that some second chances are just pit stops on the way back to cell block B.
Pelosi dynasty shifts gears. Christine Pelosi aims for California Senate instead of Mom's House seat. Because who needs the House when you can have a Senate seat in sunny California, right?
Trump brokered peace deal wobbles as Thai-Cambodia border clash turns deadly, proving that diplomacy by ego is as stable as a house of cards. The art of the deal seems to be more like performance art, with peace hanging by a thread while chaos rides in on scooters.
Only 10% of ceasefire negotiations succeed, and tunnels full of Hamas fighters make Gaza peace talks feel more like a game of whack-a-mole. If you're wondering why peace is elusive, maybe it's because the Middle East peace plan was drawn up at a family dinner table.
Trump administration announces a new animal research plan but forgets the part about ethics, proving once again that compassion is an optional extra.
When your allies start acting like adversaries, it's no wonder the average worker feels like they're stuck in a political funhouse full of distorted promises. When your diplomatic strategy is as predictable as a soap opera plot twist, expect economic whiplash and mango-flavored trade tensions.
In a system where life hangs by a thread, it's heartwarming to see decisions made with all the urgency of a fast food order.
It's like patching a sinking ship with duct tape while selling the lifeboats as party favors. Welcome to the new normal.
Only 33% of UK military women report no harassment, and the Ministry of Defence calls it progress. When the bar is set at not everyone was harassed, it's less a standard and more a limbo contest in hell. Republican-controlled US policy mirrors white preferences over others, then calls it democracy.
Google targets scammers with lawsuit, then blames algorithms. Like trying to catch a thief by suing the shadows, Google's plan skips past fixing the flaws feeding the con game.
Egypt blocks Allah Abdel Fattah from flying to the UK, turning liberation into a layover in their bureaucratic purgatory. For a country that built the pyramids, Egypt sure knows how to keep someone stuck in the past. Freedom is just another mirage in the desert of red tape.
Black Friday deals stretch for weeks, then prices inflate.
Microsoft exec boasts Windows will become agentic, then users panic. It's like saying your toaster will gain sentience. Suddenly everyone's worried about breakfast rebellion and overcooked freedom toast.
Epstein emails resurface, thrusting Trump into spotlight over past ties. It's like finding a skeleton in the closet and realizing it's been redecorating the entire house this whole time.
House ends longest ever government shutdown with new funding bill, and the lights are back on just in time to see nothing change. Like a sitcom with too many seasons, this shutdown saga serves up another rerun, the government playing peekaboo with its own functionality.
Only 1% of Americans know about alpha-gal syndrome. And now, a New Jersey man's barbecue death puts ticks on the menu. When burgers become the new Russian roulette, maybe it's time to rethink summer cookouts.
Russia unleashes strikes on Ukraine's capital city, proving once again that peace is just a mirage in the desert of diplomacy. As missiles light up Kiev's night, Putin's version of fireworks displays a penchant for destruction that makes even dystopian fiction seem tame.
News Corp Australia denies climate crisis misinformation, then claims disagreeable opinions aren't lies. If ignorance is bliss, News Corp must be the happiest place on earth with a side of cognitive dissonance.
The National sings about gravy boats, and Bob's Burgers turns it into a comedy.
Denmark attempts to push Chat Control 2.0 through by November 12th, claiming it's for safety but ignoring consent. When privacy becomes a relic, the EU's digital landscape looks less like a community and more like a panopticon with Wi-Fi.
Taiwan increases defense budget by billions, inspired by Iron Dome, yet fears iPhone drought. When national security hinges on smartphone availability, you've officially entered the dystopian realm where missiles and consumer electronics share the same existential threat level.
When the king's crown slips, even the most faithful court jesters start sharpening their daggers, eager for a new jester-in-chief.
Larry Summers, once Epstein confidant, now steers Democrats' Project 2029, because nothing says trust like a scandalous past. If you're betting on a brighter future, maybe don't hitch your wagon to someone whose history reads like a blacklist for moral compasses.
SoftBank dumps entire Nvidia stake, triggering market jitters, while CoreWeave warns of disappointing revenue. In the world of tech stocks, it's like watching a game of Jenga played by toddlers. One wrong move and it's all tumbling down.
Only 30% of households own robot vacuums, and manufacturers call it a revolution. When your vacuum has more autonomy than your job, maybe it's time to question who's really in control of your domestic bliss.
Lords plan new offensive against assisted dying bill despite Commons approval. It's democracy in action, where life and death decisions are tossed around like a political rugby ball. Try not to fumble, folks.
The CIA sculpture's creator auctions Kryptos' solution, proving secrets are best kept profitable. When the mystery becomes a cash cow, we're just one bid away from the ultimate sellout of intrigue and national security.
Governor State spares inmate Tremenwood minutes before execution, commutes death sentence. Like a last-minute plot twist in a dark drama, justice is served with a side of suspense. Better than the electric chair, I suppose.
Jeffrey Epstein's emails name-drop Trump multiple times, sparking intrigue. When your past correspondence reads like a celebrity guest list, it's a wonder if the truth will ever RSVP to the party.
Edward Romanov discussed funding with Karadzic before shooting Sarajevo for fun. When your idea of leisure is shelling a city, it's hard to tell if you're a warlord or just a really bad tourist.
Senator John Fetterman fell and hospitalized. Spokesperson claims he's doing well. In politics, falling down is practically a rite of passage. The real skill is convincing everyone you meant to do it.
Chancellor Reeves cancels tax hike after forecasts improve, but your wallet still feels lighter. Forecasts are like horoscopes. They promise riches, but you still end up eating ramen by candlelight.
Cybercriminals infiltrate logistics using remote tools, and the freight industry's response is stuck in transit. When your security measures are slower than a snail on a treadmill, don't be surprised when your cargo gets hijacked by the digital pirates of the 21st century.
China promises to buy US soybeans, yet farmers still knee-deep in trade war mud. A truce in trade is like a rain check for a drought. It sounds promising, but the crops are already dust.
Canadian boycott of US travel continues, while US tourism industry claims it's just a polite suggestion. When even the famously polite Canadians give you the cold shoulder, maybe it's time to rethink the Make America Great Again strategy.
Turkish prosecutor demands 2,000 years for When your political strategy is a life sentence that rivals Doctor Who,
OPEC predicts third quarter oil surplus, credits unexpected U.S. growth. When your crystal ball keeps flipping like a pancake, maybe it's time to admit that the only predictable thing is unpredictability.
Only 30% of terror attack victims receive ongoing support, and governments call it a budgetary triumph. As we remember the Paris attacks, let's not forget that governments have become experts at commemorating tragedy and cutting funding in the same breath.
US warned of severe flu strain outbreaks in Canada and UK. When the flu starts taking world tours like a rock band, maybe it's time to consider that vaccines are the real headliners.
Poll shows 40% of Republicans oppose Trump despite his iron grip. Looks like even the GOP's loyalty has an expiration date, like milk but with more sour aftertaste.
AI financial advisors promise savings, yet users report losses in the thousands when algorithms misread the market. Trusting AI for your finances is like letting a robot pick your wardrobe. It might be trendy, but you'll end up either overdressed or naked.
Israeli forces targeted Palestinian water sources over 250 times in 5 years, data reveals. It's like they're auditioning for a dystopian sequel where water wars are the new norm and empathy is a relic of the past.
Katy Perry tops pop radio with Bandits, yet the track's about as soothing as a paper cut. Perry's new anthem sticks like a cheap adhesive, catchy in the moment, but you'll regret it when it pulls at your hairs later.
Data shows Jewish neighborhoods divided between Cuomo and Mamdani, revealing a schism in political loyalties. Ah, the great American pastime, turning every street corner into a battleground. Who knew democracy was a contact sport?
US stocks and gold rally on shutdown hope, but reality's hangover looms. Once the government reopens, expect a return to the thrilling roller coaster of geopolitical chaos, fiscal uncertainty, and the occasional tweet-induced market tremor.
Epstein offered reporter pics of Trump with bikini-clad girls, but truth is the best scandal.
Atlanta Fed president steps down in February. It's like putting a poker game right before everyone realizes that it was that monopoly going.
Only 12% of leftist groups have stable funding, and conservatives call it fiscal responsibility. While the right builds empires on tax breaks and corporate cash, the left is left holding bake sales to fund democracy's last stand.
Ukraine faces choice between saving lives or holding Pokrovsk, as if war were a reality show with a cruel twist. When the stakes are human lives, the only winners are those selling the weapons.
Federal Reserve hints at rate cut. Stocks and bonds rise as economic growth stumbles. It's like watching a high-stakes poker game where the Fed keeps bluffing and everyone's betting on a weaker hand to win the jackpot.
Eight webcams tested, and the best still can't make your boss's face any less pixelated during mandatory Zoom meetings. In 2025, the real innovation would be a webcam that auto-mutes your boss's monologue about synergy.
Trump pressures Republicans to block Epstein files, raising questions about transparency. It's like watching a magician who keeps telling you to focus on his left hand while his right is busy hiding the rabbit.
Israel intensifies attacks on Lebanon, calls it defensive strategy. It's the kind of defense that feels more like a prelude to an encore performance of chaos, with everyone forced to buy tickets.
Trump's friendship story with Epstein contradicts new documents, yet he once praised Epstein's taste in younger women. Guess the art of the deal includes selective memory, especially when it comes to friends with shady pastimes.
Because nothing says peace quite like preparing a larger army, as if the best way to avoid a brawl is to bring more fists.
Mitt Romney's ghost haunts the GOP, and they call it a dream. In a world where Trump leads, Romney's moderate ghost is like wishing for a unicorn while riding a bull in a china shop.
EU pushes chat control as child safety measure, yet critics warn it's a surveillance tool waiting to be misused. When protecting kids becomes the excuse for peeking under everyone's digital bed, you know Big Brother's just found a new toy.
In the financial world, deregistering with the SEC is like saying you're quitting Monopoly to play poker with dragons. Bold, risky, and a touch delusional.
Starbucks union workers strike at dozens of stores, and management calls it a disruption to their third place vibe. When your latte comes with a side of labor rights, maybe it's time to tip your barista in more than just change.
When your debt is mostly a domestic affair, it's like owing money to your own reflection, complicated, self-inflicted, and with a mirror that always looks disappointed.
Sudan's war blamed on mysterious complex factors, while the arms dealers call it a booming business opportunity.
When your media player is more beloved than your politicians, maybe it's time to let the cones run the continent.
US banks foreclose on 20% more homes, call it market correction. When your American dream turns into a bank spreadsheet, it's clear the only thing inflating faster than housing prices is corporate greed.
Stanford researchers crack lupus mystery, yet pharma giants still charge fortunes for treatment. In a world where answers are found, but the cure is held hostage by price tags, health becomes a privilege, not a right.
Democratic-led states hand ICE drivers data, then claim it's unintentional.
Google releases new Android tablet, but app support remains a desert. In the land of endless possibilities, Android tablets still wander through the app wasteland, searching for relevance in a world dominated by iPads.
From fighting her own battle to arming women with foresight, she's turning mammograms into a thing of the past. Who knew the future of healthcare was a computer whisperer with a mission to make annual carding obsolete?
Zelensky allies embroiled in corruption scandal, then blame external interference. When your inner circle's more rotten than a forgotten avocado, maybe it's time to stop blaming the grocery store and start checking the fridge. Who needs enemies when your friends are this busy raiding the cookie jar?
Spotify features Stay Humble, Stay Go-Gated, but listeners remain confused by Clarbort's goat obsession. In a world where humility is rare, Probots suggests being both humble and goated, proving once again that hip-hop thrives on contradictions and catchy phrases.
Freedom Caucus questions love for Wyoming, then demands loyalty. When your love's conditional on towing the line, it's less romance and more hostage situation. Wyoming, blink twice if you need rescuing from this political Stockholm syndrome.
Trump issues 20 pardons, then Democrats denounce his shutdown vote. It's like a political magic trick. While one hand shuts down the government, the other waves a get-out-of-jail-free card, leaving us all wondering if accountability is just an illusion.
Syria's National Museum loses priceless statues, then shrugs in despair. When history vanishes under the cloak of greed, it's not just art that disappears, it's the soul of a culture being looted while the world plays blind.
Only 20% of leaders agree on a new world order, and the rest are busy playing musical chairs with power.
Lewandowski drops Full Metal Tesla, then fans compare it to a Sonic car crash. It's like Elon Musk and Metallica had a love child that just discovered distortion pedals, loud, electrifying, and careening off the rails, all while leaving your ears begging for more.
Sri Lanka's cricket board ignores player security concerns, insists on touring Pakistan as if fear is just a sport. When the boundary between courage and recklessness blurs, it's hard to tell if they're playing cricket or Russian roulette.
IZIA updates KUV catalog with new Gladinet and CWP flaws, while hackers celebrate with a cyber fiesta. When security updates feel like a party invitation for cyber criminals, you know the system's more Civ than Shield.
Fan charges Ariana Grande at Wicked Singapore premiere. Then Cynthia Erivo leaps to the rescue. In a scene that was less Broadway and more action thriller, Erivo proved she's not just a powerhouse on stage, but on the red carpet too, leaving fans wondering if her next role should involve a cape.
MBDA lands missile order from Sweden because nothing says Scandinavian peace like a fresh batch of camas. In a world craving harmony, defense contractors keep cashing in on the paradox of peace through superior firepower.
Reports tuberculosis deaths at 1.23 million last year, calls it progress.
Outdoor lights promise year-round glow, and your electric bill becomes the true horror story. Permanent lights are the suburban siren song, luring you into a well-lit trap of endless expenses and neighborhood one-upmanship.
Senate passes bill to end shutdown with a 60-40 vote, ignores health subsidies. It's like celebrating a ceasefire while ignoring the wounded. Politics as usual, where the band-aid is more crucial than the bleeding.
Modi invokes terror law after a Delhi blast, calls it a conspiracy. When in doubt, slap a terror label on it, because nothing says we've got this under control like a political power play wrapped in a conspiracy theory.
EU votes on chat control tomorrow, promises safety through surveillance. When every citizen becomes a suspect, privacy becomes a quaint relic.
Trump's America First boosts emerging markets, but at the cost of domestic stability. Turns out, when you build a wall, someone else builds a skyscraper. America's loss is the world's gain, and irony's best punchline.
When you roll over for a pat on the head, expect a leash. They caved like a cheap tent in a hurricane of hubris.
Scientists link Epstein-Barr virus to lupus, turning a common virus into a sinister plot twist. From teenage kissing disease to autoimmune villain, EB's transformation reminds us that even microbes can have a dark side and a flair for drama.
Governments promise climate action, yet emissions hit record highs. When pledges are just hot air, the planet gets...
AI models struggle to fake toxicity, while intelligence is a breeze for them, say researchers.
Trump denies Epstein email claims, says it's a witch hunt. In the theater of denial, the script never changes. I know nothing, starring the usual suspects and a chorus of disbelief.
Sasan Lay.
Trump's tariffs shuttered a North Carolina sawmill, and those who voted for him faced the fallout. Turns out, when your hero raises the drawbridge, your small-town dreams might just get trapped outside the castle walls.
Only 20% of Ukraine's territory remains occupied, and Russia calls it strategic positioning. When your invasion becomes a permanent residency, it's not strategy, it's squatting with a flag.
When the skeletons in the closet start clattering, a little transparency might save the wallpaper from peeling right off.
China adopts cautious research strategy, risks stifling science ambitions despite university growth.
Colombian government sells dollars to boost peso but now faces currency backslide. When your currency roller coaster leaves you dizzy, it might be time to check the tracks instead of just the ticket prices.
Brookfield's wealth business boosts third quarter earnings, yet claims it's evolving into an investment-led insurer. Transforming into an insurer while counting quarterly gains is like wearing a life vest to a yacht party.
Chinese automakers register unsold cars as sold, creating an electric mirage. When your sales strategy is more smoke than battery, even the cleanest energy leaves a dirty footprint.
Tencent's quarterly growth surpasses expectations due to gaming demand, yet AI services promise more hype than substance. When digital dragons breathe fire, expect the villagers to pay for the charred Wi-Fi another round of smoke and mirrors.
Nature corrects stem cell study error 3 years after publication. Who knew time travel was possible? Just ask scientific journals. Still fixing mistakes from the past while the future speeds ahead.
Wessex Water must pay £11 million for wastewater failures, but will the rivers or the accountants see the real benefit? When the water company spills secrets, it's the public who drowns in the cost, while the boardroom stays dry. Former Jamba Juice CEO claims AI reshapes business, but his new book, Culture Design, might just be a smoothie of buzzwords. When life hands you AI, write a book about culture and hope it sells like overpriced juice blends.
Trump requests Israeli President pardon Netanyahu, and justice takes a backseat to cronyism. When presidential favors are traded like baseball cards, the rule of law becomes a spectator sport, and integrity is the first to strike out.
US bishops denounce Trump's deportation campaign, proving even the Vatican can't turn a blind eye forever. When the shepherds start herding against you, maybe it's time to reconsider your flock's direction.
When a penny's value is too small for even a gumball, retiring it is like cutting the last thread of monetary nostalgia.
Jeffries supports humor amid shutdown fury, creating a new democratic pastime, standing by while Rome burns. When the party's best plan is backing each other's bad ideas, it's no wonder the Capitol feels like a circus without the fun.
In a world where your toaster might be mining Bitcoin, it's comforting to know your network gear is still the weakest link.
Nvidia leads mega-cap losses while Wall Street bets on a reopening that feels like waiting for Godot with a credit card. When the biggest shutdown becomes a board game, the winners are those who can afford to keep playing despite the rules.
Federal government ends shutdown, schedules job reports like it's a Netflix release. Nothing says economic stability like binge watching delayed inflation data after a month of financial blackout.
Queensland researchers unearth 55 million-year-old eggshell.
Berkshire Hathaway buys nearly $5 billion in Alphabet shares, ditching banks and apples for algorithms. Because why invest in reliable old fruit when you can bet on the digital orchard of the future?
when your cybersecurity is as sturdy as a wet paper bag, you might as well hand out admin credentials like party favors.
Trump orders DOJ to investigate Epstein's Democratic connections, avoiding the GOP's own shadowy ties. Like a magician misdirecting the audience, it's all about where you don't want them to look.
Merck announces $9.2 billion acquisition of Satire, pretending it's a flu cure rather than a patent panic.
NASA reports radio burst from a stellar coronal mass ejection, like a cosmic sneeze echoing across the universe.
Only 10% of regional banks feel threatened by private credit, and analysts call it a minor concern. When billions in dry powder are aimed at you, it's not a pillow fight, it's a financial firefight.
New World investors watch rivals to game out one $9 billion plan because financial chess is more exciting than actual regulation. When billionaires play Monopoly with real money, everyone else waits to see if the board flips or if they just buy the bank.
Tech groups pressure Gov. Kathy Hochul to reject AI safety bill because who needs public safety when you can have unchecked algorithms?
AfD hails Hus ban on European left-wing groups as historians foresee crackdown on anti-fascists because nothing says freedom like silencing dissent. When the far right celebrates, you know someone's civil liberties are about to get a one-way ticket to oblivion.
Natalie Maines releases Mother rock album, promising raw emotion, and proves that heartache sounds best with a side of rebellion. When your voice is a battle cry, every song becomes a revolution in 3.5 minutes.
Congress ends shutdown after costing billions, achieves nothing, and calls it a strategic pause in democracy. When political theater costs more than a summer blockbuster and has the same plot holes, you know the sequel's already in the works.
Pakistan's Interior Minister confirms blast kills 12 outside Islamabad court and calls it a tragic reminder of security challenges. In a world where justice is already a tightrope walk, adding explosives turns it into a high-wire act with no safety net.
Reddit user shares M. Mealy's world.execute mints from 2016, and the algorithm calls it a hidden gem.
Reddit user drags the avalanches "Since I Left You" into the spotlight, and nostalgia calls it a time travel ticket. In a world where every sound is recycled, the avalanches remind us that the past is just a sample away from a remix revolution.
Just when you thought it was safe to be young, Nicole Kidman shows up to remind us that youth is wasted on the terrified.
Ubisoft postpones financial report and halts stock trading, claiming it's all part of the game. When your quarterly report feels like a boss level, sometimes you just hit pause and pray for a cheat code.
Rep.
Sherman pushes Medicare for all while premium hikes loom. When your healthcare system is a house of cards, sometimes you need to ask if the deck's been stacked against you from the start.
Trump demands DOJ probe Epstein ties, ignoring his own. When you're the pot calling the kettle black, at least make sure your own hands aren't covered in soot.
Democrats lament shutdown end after 42 days, gain nothing. It's like fighting a dragon for over a month, only to find out it's just a cardboard cutout stubbornness with a side of futility.
Rich tourists allegedly pay $90,000 for human safari, claim it's a unique experience. When your vacation package includes a moral compass removal, you know humanity's gone on permanent holiday. Luxury's new low in the depravity department.
Only 10% of singles find love offline, and dating apps call it progress. When swiping left becomes the new romantic gesture, finding love is like spotting a unicorn in a field of pixelated stallions, rare and mythical.
When your empire's piggy bank starts looking like a busted piggy, it's time to admit the climate's not your biggest enemy. It's your own policies.
Kansas County pays $3 million for forgetting the First Amendment, then calls it a learning experience.
Only 12% of scientists understand the Nature Index, and the universities call it transparency. If transparency were any cloudier, we'd need a foghorn to navigate the academic seas. But hey, at least it's not a paywall this time, just an intellectual labyrinth.
Ukraine launches Flamingo missiles at Crimea, Zaporizhia, and Russia, claims it's just a warm-up. When your missile names sound like cocktail specials, you know diplomacy's on vacation. Flamingo, the missile that says, "We come in peace, but we're packing heat."
Michigan bill gives lawmakers surprise prison access, but who's watching the watchers? Unannounced visits sound like a step forward, until you remember politicians have the stealth of a marching band in a library. Transparency's new name is Gotcha.
Pakistan blames Afghan nationals for bombings, then arrests several suspects. When pointing fingers, remember it's not the nationality but the ideology that pulls the trigger.
Tech giant installs data center in small town, preserving history with server racks. Nothing screams heritage like replacing cobblestones with fiber optics. The future's here, and it's brought Wi-Fi to your grandmother's rocking chair.
Trump plans to sue for $5 billion despite apology, then calls it justice. Because when you're a billionaire, the word sorry is just loose change in your litigation piggy bank.
EU bans multi-entry visas for Russians, bans it for security. Because clearly, nothing says keeping the peace like a bureaucratic pile-up at the border while the drones keep buzzing overhead.
Epstein files threaten Trump's reputation, yet the Teflon Don deflects accountability like a magician at a children's party. History shows he's as slippery as a greased eel in a courtroom, with scandals sliding off him like water off a duck's back.
Texas sues Roblox for endangering kids, but Fortnite dances on. When virtual playgrounds need more security than a bank vault,
You know the world's gone pixelated and priorities have taken a nosedive.
Gianfranco Fuego releases like a dog.
Only 10% of radio stations play Billy Preston, and they call it nostalgia. When the music industry's memory is shorter than a TikTok loop,
Howard Lutnick advises Trump on trade, causing chaos and tariffs to tango, like drunk diplomats at a summit. Lutnick's economic prowess is like handing a toddler a chainsaw, more noise than nuance, but plenty of wreckage.
US Mint in Philadelphia cancels the penny. It's a tearful farewell to the coin that cost more to make.
New York City Council proposes artist housing while landlords weep into their rent rolls, because nothing says supporting the arts like finally giving creatives a roof decades after gentrification turned their studios into luxury lofts.
U.S. drug regulator promotes veteran to top position, calls it a move for stability. When in doubt, shuffle the deck chairs on the Titanic and hope no one notices the iceberg dead ahead.
Iceland labels Atlantic current collapse a threat, but climate change deniers keep sipping iced lattes. When your national security hinges on ocean currents, maybe it's time to stop pretending climate change is just a hoax from tree huggers with too much free time.
Polish president seeks to outlaw Communist Party, champions democracy by curbing dissent. Nothing says freedom like silencing the ghosts of political past to make room for new specters of control.
Only 50% of international students feel secure in US, while universities call it stability. When your future's a coin flip, it's less about education and more about survival in the land of opportunity.
Poland celebrates Independence Day with parades, while politicians debate if freedom includes the right to dissent. When your Independence Day festivities look more like a political tug-of-war than a celebration of unity, maybe it's time to redefine what freedom truly means.
Senators Cruz and Rubio attack each other's successes, calling them betrayals to conservatism. When progress is a dirty word, the only winners are the ones who never tried to do anything at all.
Walmart CEO Doug McMillon retires in 2026 after a decade, then claims it's just the beginning. When the world's largest retailer calls it a day, you know the corporate ladder's just a circular escalator.
Bankers predict debt restructurings will peak in 2026, calling it a necessary adjustment. When your financial forecast sounds like a doomsday prediction, maybe the market's just a house of cards waiting for the next economic breeze to blow it down.
When the digital town square's doors slam shut, it's a reminder that your keys are only as good as the lock's mood.
Government recruits retirees to hunt bears, calling it ecosystem management. Because nothing says environmental stewardship like handing rifles to those who once policed our streets and battled in wars.
Only 20% of synthwave tracks gain mainstream attention, and Nocturnova calls it underground appeal. When your beats are more niche than a vinyl shop in a ghost town, it's not just music, it's an exclusive club for those who prefer their sunsets and soundtracks equally faded.
Quivaro promotes cruelty as a brand, claiming it's edgy. Because nothing screams innovation like rebranding heartlessness as the latest fashion statement.
Because nothing says hit single like the sound of existential despair and interstellar debris strummed on a homemade instrument.
Trump shakes hands with former terrorist al-Sharaa in the White House, calling it diplomacy. When your handshake history includes more villains than a comic book convention, maybe it's time to rethink who gets invited to the diplomatic dance floor.
Fortinet patches FortiWeb flaws silently only after active exploitation. When your security strategy is see no evil, hear no evil, you might as well hand hackers the keys and a map.
Cristiano Ronaldo promises World Cup 2026 will be his last, then hints at more games. Retirement is the new encore, where athletes announce exits like rock stars, but keep coming back for the greatest hits tour.
BBC blunders grab headlines, but January 6's chaos remains the real horror show. When a broadcaster's missteps steal the spotlight from a democracy, imploding insurrection, you know the news cycle's priorities need a serious realignment.
Trump asks Israel's president to pardon Netanyahu, calls it diplomacy. Apparently, diplomacy now involves the US president playing defense attorney for a foreign leader like a reality show with international stakes.
Gold prices rebound from a $4,400 peak while miners become meme stock wannabes. When precious metal turns into a Reddit darling, you know the market's as stable as a toddler on a sugar high.
Siemens plans to cut €35 billion stake in MRI maker, calls it strategy. When your investment feels like a lead weight, the strategy is to claim it's all part of the master plan as you drop it like it's hot.
Federal and state websites launch blame game over Essen fight, claiming cooperation.
Sweden votes to join the EU in 1994, promising unity.
Treasuries hold firm while traders expect chaos after longest U.S. shutdown. The calm before the storm, like the moment you realize the roller coaster's about to drop and you forgot to buckle up.
When your alibi is flimsier than a Buckingham Palace tea doily, maybe it's time to stop pretending you're the victim.
House schedules shutdown vote, and hope is cheaper than a congressman's lunch. When politicians promise solutions, it's like trusting a cat to guard your goldfish. Expect a splash but not much else.
When your space program has more holes than Swiss cheese, maybe it's time to rethink the next giant leap for mankind.
Activists warn of self-extermination at COP30. Demand fossil fuel phase out.
Trump entertains Swiss gifts. Then tariffs remain like a hangover at brunch. It's a classic tale.
Australia's High Court dismisses Russia's embassy site claim covers Russia's legal costs. So Australia gets the land back but pays the bill like a dinner date with an ex you didn't invite.
Josh Hawley declares GOP the working class party, votes against minimum wage increase. Claiming a blue-collar crown while wearing gold-plated boots, Hawley's got more spin than a tumble dryer on overdrive.
EU Commission considers intelligence arm, calls it a peacekeeping measure. Because nothing says peace like a brand new spy agency. Just what the world needs. More shadowy figures in trench coats whispering about global tensions.
When your PR strategy involves mass murder, it's clear you confused infamy with influence. Terror is the ultimate failure of imagination.
Elderbrook releases Shallow Water video. Claims it's electrifying. Like a toaster in a bathtub, this track zaps you with rhythmic shocks, leaving you wondering if it's the music or just a short circuit.
The company that once promised self-driving cars now surrenders to a dashboard app. Welcome to the future where innovation means playing nice with Apple.
Italian antitrust fines Wizz Air €500,000, calls it a lesson in turbulence. When your budget airline's ethics hit rock bottom, your penalty lands like a delayed flight, late costly, and with zero in-flight snacks.
Centerspace considers selling apartment complexes, proving profit trumps stability. When your home becomes a hot potato in a real estate game, it's a reminder that security is just a temporary lease.
When the Department of Homeland Security plays peekaboo with your privacy, it's not a game. It's surveillance hide and seek for the 21st century citizen.
Food poisoning devastates family of four on Turkish vacation. Pre-autopsy report inconclusive. When a holiday feast turns into tragedy, it's a grim reminder that sometimes the only souvenir you bring back is heartbreak.
Netflix's Last Chance U coach John Bean shot dead on California campus, leaving fans and students reeling. The only touchdown here is tragedy, as bullets replace the dreams and hopes once nurtured on the field.
YouTube features Orson Welles' video topping Citizen Kane and War of the Worlds, proving chaos trumps genius. When your legacies are mixtape of brilliance and bedlam, it's no wonder the algorithms got a crush on your shadowy side.
Doubling down on deep-sea fiber optics, while Mother Nature sharpens her scissors, what could possibly go wrong when our data lifelines in Poseidon's grip?
Eddie Murphy reveals why he missed Charlie's funeral, attributing it to a deeply personal struggle. When even laughter's king can't face the final curtain call, it underscores how grief can hit harder than any punchline.
A century later, the echoes of empire still haunt the Bosphorus, where the past lingers longer than a diplomat's handshake.
AT&T dismantles federal regulators, now targets self-regulation bodies NARB and NAD with corporate zeal. It's like watching a fox argue against henhouse security, claiming freedom while sharpening its teeth on accountability's bones.
Microsoft patches 63 security flaws, touts victory while a Windows kernel 0 day remains under active attack. It's like celebrating a band-aid on a bullet wound where the press release is the real fortress and the enemy's already inside.
Norway refuses to guarantee $160 billion for frozen Russian funds, while the finance minister just shrugs. It's like saying, not my circus, not my monkeys, except the monkeys have nukes and the circus is a geopolitical minefield.
Only 40% of embryos make it past developmental arrest in older patients, but aneuploidy rates stay the same. It's like nature's cheeky way of saying, age before beauty, but not before chromosomes, as if the biological clock's just trolling us now.
It's like trying to sell ice in Antarctica. They're pushing a canvas that nobody has to paint on, except maybe to escape a Monday morning meeting.
AU advances chat control compromise. Critics call it a backdoor for surveillance. It's like putting a peephole in your diary. Privacy is getting mocked while politicians look the other way, whistling a merry tune of
Indian police detain dozens, proving clean air is more threatening than pollution.
ICE agents terrorize Northbrook bystanders because nothing says safety like rifles aimed at civilians. When your local ICE squad channels Rambo, it's hard to tell if they're fighting crime or just reality.
EU creates intelligence unit to counter Russia, because who needs sleep when you can play Cold War 2.0? When the EU dives into espionage, it's like watching a cat try to herd its own shadows, ambitious but hilariously unpredictable.